what we have found over the 20 years, of course we've grown this practice where today we prepare like 2,500 tax returns. We have 3,000-4,000 clients of one kind or another. We're full service. But what we find is if we can do planning, and a lot of it has to do with how much income you're making, but I think Gary can agree, we have some small clients that if they would have done planning, in fact, I think some of the smaller clients, Gary pulls his hair out. He's kind of losing it. But anyway, he pulls his hair out more on some of the smaller ones because they can't afford any of the penalty or tax.
Right.
But don't let it go. If you got an issue, let's get in. Let's talk about it. Let's do a planning. We don't charge for the initial review. We try to analyze where people are, try to set things up. If you're concerned about staying in the United States, I can only say, let's be positive about it. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to start moving money offshore and creating a situation that is more costly and maybe not be as safe as where we're at. Politically speaking, everybody has their own idea of what should be done. But the most important thing is to document things and do planning and try to come up with a sequence of events that makes a lot more sense than just waiting until you get a knock on the door. And they are even doing that today.
Yeah, they do house calls, absolutely.
They're doing house calls. They show up looking for people. Hey, do you know where this person is? Or do you know what happened to this? Or whatever. We get questions too, especially if we haven't touched with a client in a long time. They go back and they're trying to find people. It's a very interesting sequence of events. Of course, with the budget talks, we might end up with a greatly reduced IRS, but I don't think that's going to happen too quickly. There's probably $1 trillion that they're out there to collect just from foreign accounts. There was an article just in the Dallas Morning News talking about the IRS, Treasury Department are looking hard and fast for foreign accounts. And just so you realize, they hired 38,000 new IRS agents. 8,000 of them are sitting in the banks looking at transfers of money in and transfers of money out. They're looking for people who might be laundering money, who might be trying to hide money. My feeling is, as a professional, is that is sort of like a wasted effort. The goal is not to try to hide money or whatever. The government is going to find it. They've got criminal investigators. Gary has some information on that. They're sitting out there in every city. They're looking at things that that they can trace. They find ways to trace it. So it's not going to be hidden for long. So the best thing to do, come in. Let's do planning. Let's try to mitigate the tax. Not let's try to hide the money or whatever. And the main thing, and Gary stresses this to me just all the time, hey, let's make sure that we tell the client, whatever case, if someone comes to you, tell them the truth.
Yep.
Because it's more dangerous to lie to a federal person than it is not.
Serious consequences there, yep. So tell it like it is and plan ahead and keep good records, organize your data. Those are just obvious tips that can help you stay out of difficulty.
And try not to let people spook you into doing things that might be illegal. And if you see something that you feel is illegal, bring it up, because maybe potentially we need to, the things that happened with Madoff and some other people, if some of those people would have just said, hey, this doesn't look right. I had been approached, I tried to get information, because as far as I'm concerned, if someone's doing something illegal, I've got to report it. And I recommend for everybody to try to be above board, and if you think something doesn't look right or smell right or whatever, it would be best to just say, hey, I think that person's doing something wrong.
And often if it's too good to be true, sounds too good to be true, it may be too good to be true.
Right.
So you got to analyze it. Sometimes things work, but often it's off the deep end. So we try to keep in a narrow focus and keep from going too far off path here. So we can defend it and to be organized and to do the best job and keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, I have been doing foreign transactions now for, even when I first started in public accounting in 1962. And all I can tell you is this foreign area is something that you all need to be aware of. If you got money offshore, if you have a foreign corporation, if you have a foreign trust, if you're gifting out, and you're in a foreign country, if you haven't filed, even if it's 20 years, you need to come forward and try to get it straight. I think that UBS in Switzerland was a big wake-up call, and they're still going down the list of people who either came forward voluntarily or who they found, and they're still auditing and reviewing and making things. So it doesn't make sense not to come forward. I know they're now into the bank in India, HSBC. Eventually they'll be making deals with Mexico, and
IRS is very serious about this. They're going to keep pursuing it.
So what we need to say is we're willing to do free analysis. So bring it in, let us look at it. If you want us to sign a non-disclosure, we'll sign a non-disclosure. If we look at something, now I've got to remember, even if we sign a non-disclosure, we're not exempt because we're not attorneys. But at least we could look at it and then tell you if we think you need to, we can take you to an appropriate tax attorney and get things organized. I think our system works really well. I think that our staff, as I've mentioned on previous tapes, we have about 15 accountants. I lose track because some people are accountants and yet don't really do accounting. We have our own pension administration firm. I'm very I have a lot of knowledge in regards to retirement plans, defined benefit plans. But slowly but surely, my son David, who's my partner, he knows a lot about retirement plans. Lee Goldblatt knows a lot. We're training our staff. We make them go through training courses on foreign corporations, assets, whatever. It's sort of embarrassing, as we all grow older, some of the younger people absorb it better than we do. But try to tell everybody, it's everybody's responsibility to study and be up to date, so that if you, the client, calls or potential client calls, that we can help you, get you in, and try to decide where we're at. We work in a level, we have our senior staff, then we have our, I don't want to call them junior staff, we have a managing group, and then we have a senior staff, and then we have a junior staff. And every return is reviewed by a senior staff member, and then every return is looked at by myself, every single return. And when it comes to planning, we all get together and decide, okay, how should we handle this? What would be the best thing? How can we make sure we've documented everything? And if you're already in, feel like you got a problem, come in. Let's try to get it organized.
Exactly. We'll work with you. So give us a call, or if you have any issues, IRS notices, haven't filed returns for a while, we can work through all those areas. There's always a solution. There's always a way to work through a difficult thing that may stress you out, but we can.
And it's not that expensive. Gary is G. Schierling, SCHIERLING,
Right.
At Glazer, GLAZER Financial.com. Gary tends to look at a situation. We usually ask for a retainer, but it's not like you got to pay us $5,000 or $10,000. It's a small retainer just so that we can really get involved before we do the case. Some we can do for $500-$600. Some we can do for $2,000-$3,000. Some are bigger, but not the majority. Most of the situations are pretty reasonably priced. Every one of our clients that we look at the information, including the IRS work, what we do is we prepare an engagement letter which outlines the cost. I don't know about you, but accountants today, they tend to, every time you call them, they put down the hours and whatever. Next thing you know, you're getting, $200 bill here or $500. We don't do that. We tend to try to stick to our engagement letter. We try not to to fly off the seat of our pants. We work 12 months a year. That's not saying that Gary or myself don't go on vacation, but we work 12 months a year. We got enough of a staff, and of course myself, I'm always in contact, even if I'm cruising in the Mediterranean.
And the iPhone always works, right?
iPhone always works. Today, thank God, we're blessed with many positives. And my feeling is that when you're working with someone like us, what you'll find is it's so much better to be able to say, hey, how should I buy a new car? Should I lease a new car? Should I buy new equipment? That's a big area today. We've got some farmers where we very effectively, because the government has allowed us to write off assets, equipment, very easily, where we've saved thousands in fact tens of thousands of dollars
exactly
by making purchases in the proper year.
Bonus depreciation, Section 179, 100% depreciation, some very generous
It's
planning
interesting,
opportunities.
and I'm so tired of hearing my clients say, well, my accountant told me not to worry about it. I'm so tired of hearing, well, no, we never, why didn't my accountant tell me? It's because they're not into the planning. I have been doing this a long time. I've never done anything. In the last 20 years, I've never filed a tax return myself. I've never physically entered it in the computer. I review. I know taxes. I'm a U.S. tax expert. Gary's a U.S. tax expert. But and we sure as heck know the international field. But we just don't fly by the seat of our pants. We're not H&R, whatever the name of that company is. We are Glazer Financial, and what we do is planning, and we do financial planning. We solve problems. We try to make sure that we're headed in the right direction and the client is okay.
And of course, we do accounting and tax preparation,
And pension administration,
so it's a pretty full
investments, insurance. We can do whatever. We work by a menu. We can do whatever your needs are, and we can help you create net worth, and that's the goal. Our biggest cost is tax and penalties, and Gary Shearling, I know for a fact, is one of the best accountants that I know in regards to keeping those penalties to a minimum and working with myself and the rest of the staff to keep the tax at a minimum also. Doing things legally, doing things by planning.
That's exactly right.
Again, you can reach Gary at G. Shearling, SCHIERLING, at Glazer, GLAZER, financial.com, or myself at mglazer at glazerfinancial.com. Both of us could be reached at 800-999-8931. And because I'm the CEO, I'm a masochist for making sure things work. If you got an emergency, 469-358-2818, and I promise you that I will pick up the phone, 469-358-2818. And of course, if you email either one of us, we're going to get it on our little iPhone. So if it's an emergency and you put help, emergency, I guarantee you we'll call you back, unless we're on an airplane. And even then now.
Yeah, that even works.
That even works.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we appreciate your time, and please give us a call if you have anything to discuss.
Thank you.